Hello, guys. It's time for another episode of Mic Drop. I'm here with my buddy Chewbacca today to celebrate the release of Solo. But we are here to talk about another word that kind of sounds like Solo called SEO. If there is one thing we get a lot of requests here at J Miller for, it is SEO. And it's another thing that I also find is probably the part of the industry, the online industry, that is the most ripe for people who are snake oil salesmen and charlatans. SEO is this phrase that gets thrown around a lot. Lots of people don't know what it means, and you get tons of emails, I'm sure, as a business owner, just these blind emails from companies saying, hey, it seems like a form letter. And it's like, hey, I was on your site, great site, but it could be doing so much more better if you sign up with my SEO service. I even have people who come to us who are doing SEO with other agencies, and they show me like the reports that they get and the data that they're getting from these so-called SEO campaigns, and there's nothing that's actually happening that is legitimate SEO. So today, I am here to burn that bridge down. I'm going to tell you how you can do your own SEO yourself and not pay a dime, or at least pay very little if you really want to get the tools. So here it goes. Let me first start by talking about how local SEO is powered. To understand how to do SEO, you have to know kind of the factors that go into ranking your site and how it ranks for certain keywords in Google and Bing and all that stuff. So it's powered by four things for the local environment. Is your search directory, so that's things like Google Business, Facebook, Yelp, Apple Maps, Bing Maps, that type of thing. Those search directories are going to help inform your local SEO. On that front, all those maps that people are searching, search directories doing that stuff for you. Local or on-page SEO is another thing that's going to go. On-page SEO is all the back-end stuff on your website that either helps the bots crawl the site and figure out what it's about, or has actual content on it, or they have these things called they're called schema. The schema, which is special coding that kind of like lets you code out events and special promotions, so the Google spiders can like read all of that stuff. So that goes into your on-page SEO stuff. Then there's local content, so that kind of flows from your on-page to actual pages on your site. You're putting lots of content on your site that gives more opportunity for the Google spiders to crawl it and figure out what your site's about and potentially rank higher. And then finally, links. So you've created all this great content. People who are going to use you or go to your site and they see this great content, they're going to say, oh, that was great, and they're going to share it with their friends. They're going to put it on their site. And so these links. And these four things are the big main factors that go into how your site's going to be ranking locally. There's plenty of other things that go into that. Of course, Google and Bing, they're very mysterious with their algorithms. They're not going to tell us explicitly what happens or what goes into it, because anybody could then game the system. So these are what we've been able to figure out as online marketers, kind of are the top factors that go into ranking. So let me talk about each one and how you can kind of accomplish that your own without having to pay anybody any sort of price for getting it done. So first, search directories. So search directories, primary goal on search directories is to focus on Google Business. So Google Business is by far the leader in search directories. It's what powers Google Maps, and which is by far the most used map out there, followed second by Apple's Maps, just because those are our phones that we use. Focus on Google Business first, and Google Business, you can create that on your own. You don't need any agency to come in and help you with that. You can just create it on your own, upload photos, write your description, connect it to your website, put the right address on there, put the right phone number on there. The Google Business listing is set. Google Maps now knows what's going on. There's some additional stuff you can do to kind of take it above and beyond. They released a couple months ago these things called posts. So if you're doing special stuff in the store and you want to let people know, you can just post it, and that'll come into your Google Business listing. So when people see you on the maps, they'll be able to see that. Google Business also is a repository for any reviews that people write for your Google Business listing. Reviews, very important in local. If you don't have on-page content, the reviews are kind of the content that people are using, and they're great social trust signals, so other customers are going to see those reviews. People love to look at reviews these days to figure out if they're going to go to a business or buy a product. So the more reviews you get on your Google Business site, the better. So that means always remind your customers when they're coming into your store and they're having a good experience and they're leaving, remind them to leave you a review on Google. They can leave it on Facebook as well, or Yelps, or any of those things. But you want to aggregate them into one as much as possible, so you have the most power there. So Google Business, focus on that one first, and then what you want to do is stretch out to what I would call the secondary top search directories. And so those are your Yelps, your Bing Maps, Apple Maps, Facebook. Those are the big ones that still have value in the search directory space. The biggest thing I see when people come to us from other agencies who are doing SEO is that they were paying a monthly subscription fee for like a search directory service, and I've seen this fee go up to like $170 a month. That's over $2,000 a year you're investing in search directories when there are no shortage of programs that will go out there and do those search directories for you automatically, or you can do them manually yourself. The programs that do these automatically, they're pushing that data out to thousands of search directories, and so numerically it looks very cool. Oh, I have my name, I have my business in thousands of search directories. But in actuality, nobody uses 99% of those search directories. They just exist, I think, just to get this money from these search directory services, and Google knows that. It's kind of bordering on gaming the system. So just by having thousands of search directories out there, if that would raise your local value, then anyone would do it, and it would be easily gamed, and Google's going to take it away. So they have, and so that's why we say focus on those top 5. All of those listings you can do yourself, no money required. There might be a couple hoops you need to jump through. You might need to get a postcard that will require you to enter that into the directory that you've created. But other than that, perfectly easy to do by yourself. So don't worry about that. If you do decide to go the subscription route and push it out to those thousands of search directories out there, there are people who you can pay to do that. If you're going to do that, I recommend Moz Local. Moz Local is a subscription fee. It will be $100 for the entire year, and it will keep your business out there. The problem with all these search directory sites is when you stop paying that subscription, there is the potential for all of that listing data that you've pushed out correctly to vanish and revert back to either what it was previously. And so that's why we always recommend focusing on the top ones and doing it yourself, because then they can never revert and you never have to incur any sort of recurring charge. So really, my biggest problem about search directories is that I think some of the more shadier SEO agencies are pitching this as like a magic, a silver bullet that's going to fix all your problems, and they're upcharging you this ridiculous rate. I mean, $170 a month to go to an agency who's doing it, who's just going to Moz Local and paying them $99 for the year. That's quite an upcharge. I mean, I like making money, but I'm not going to go that far. So that's my thing on search directories. Next, we're going to talk about on-page SEO. So here, you're limited by the capabilities of your site, and I work with a lot of people who have very limited sites, and so here's some things you can do in terms of your site that aren't really limited by like a CMS type situation. So what you want to do is on the back end, and I recommend this program. It's called Screaming Frog. You give it your URL, Screaming Frog runs it through, and it's going to give you all of this breakout of all the potential problems on your site. And so it's going to look at what's called the metadata. So we're looking at page titles and page descriptions and image tags and H1 tags. These are all data points that the Google spiders are going to use to figure out what your site's about. And so Screaming Frog looks at all that stuff, and it looks for missing tags, it's looking for duplicate tags, and it's going to report back to you. So you know exactly where to go to either add something or change something up because it's a duplicate. Very simple, and as I said, the Screaming Frog tool, it's free if you're just using like a singular domain. If you were doing it across hundreds of domains that you had to look at, then it might be a little more, you might need to get something that you pay a little money for, but since many of the local businesses we work with have a site that's maybe like 10 pages long, perfectly okay to run Screaming Frog on that. So once it pulls all that data, it tells you, you need to rewrite the description or the page title. You want to add some local flair. So you're in X city. You want to make sure your city is mentioned in the page title, or in your description you want to talk about how you serve that city or that area. So you have that local flair so the robots can, again, read it, crawl it, understand that you're in that city and you're relevant to searches about that city or from people in that city looking for things that you offer. So that's what you can do in terms of on-page SEO. Where I see a lot of limits with getting the best benefit from on-page SEO is more on things that are due to the underlying architecture of the site. So site speed is important these days because lots of people are using their mobile devices and they want a fast experience. But if the back end that's powering your site is just not built for mobile speed, there's nothing you can do. There's no service you can pay for outside of, burning down that whole CMS that you use and creating a completely new site. Nothing's going to fix that speed problem. So if you can't fix that speed problem, don't be paying another agency to say they're doing SEO when they can't fix any of the actual underlying SEO issues that would make your rankings go up. Schema, so I mentioned that earlier. If you have limited ability to put HTML code on your site, schema is completely in HTML, and so if you can't do that, you can't get the value from those schema from putting in those little special events or the hours and all sorts of stuff. You can't get the schema value if you can't place HTML. And then finally, adding new pages or content to your site. If you're in a kind of a restrictive CMS that has like this built-out template, but you can't add new pages to the navigation, you're not going to get any value from any sort of like creating of new content, which takes me to my next point, local content. A lot of what Google is crawling your site for is content. And it's reading that content to figure out what your site's about, where you are, who you serve, who would be interested, all that type of stuff. And content is how it figures all that stuff out. And so if you can't add content to your site, there's nothing for the spiders to crawl. There's nothing that will give them any reason to increase your rankings on keywords. So if you can't add content, what are you paying for in SEO? I don't know. So when I talk about content, what are the things that if you have the ability to add to your site, what should you be adding? Add area resources, add some tips or hints or some sort of value that your store brings. Events, you can write up about events. You can, after the event, you can write up about it and include pictures and stuff like that. So you can add these contents to your site that shows that you're active there in the local community and that people are shopping your store and having a great time and that type of thing. So hopefully you can add content to your site, but if you can't, again, why pay when you can't actually affect anything there? Then finally we have links. And so the goal of all of this content writing, in addition to telling the spiders and the bots what your site's about, is getting people interested in linking to that content from their sites, because that's the biggest trust signal to Google, is if another person has been to your site and has seen this thing and it's like, this is great, I'm going to put this link on my site and share it with everybody who comes to my site. That's a great trust indicator there. And so the more links that point to your site, the better you're going to do organically in terms of ranking, because it's a trust signal. It's more people who say this is a great site, the more Google's going to believe them. So if you don't have content to drive links, then you need to get links in other ways. So like if you have like a partnership or a sponsorship you're doing locally, always make sure that partner that you're working with is putting a link on their site so you can get some of that value there. If you want to see how many people are linking to your site, there are tools out there, tools that are very inexpensive. We use Bright Local here at J. Miller. We use it kind of on an enterprise level because we have hundreds of clients, but as a singular store owner, you could probably get away with the single store membership, which only costs, I believe, $30 a month. And with $30 a month, you can pull a report that tells you all of the kind of links that are pointing back to your site, so you can see who's linking to you, how many people are linking to you, see if those are valid links, good links, and if you're doing link building operations, then you can see the fruition of that, because it also has a keyword tracker, so you can enter in the keywords that you're targeting, and then you can see as time goes on how your ranking improves as you do all this SEO stuff on your own. So yeah, that's Bright Local. You can check that out. $30 a month. I think they also have a 14-day free trial, so if you just wanted to run your site through it once and see like who's linking to you, you can just do that, and then no obligation, you're just out. So it's more, the recurring fee is more if you want to like monitor things and pull reports. They also do things on like, you can do a review report, and you can do that on-page SEO check that I talked about with Screaming Frog. You can do it there too. So that is Bright Local. And those are my 4 points about how you can handle local SEO yourself. If some of you are out there and you're doing SEO with an agency, I'm not saying all agencies that do SEO are bad. I'm just saying of the industry, SEO is the area that tends to get the most kind of sketchy folks. And so to weed out the sketchy from the non-sketchy, I have a couple tips for you as well when you're talking to them, when you're going over your monthly reports, trying to see the value of what they're doing. Here's some helpful questions to ask. So first, keyword performance. Any SEO agency that's serious about SEO is going to have a list of keywords that they're targeting. And you want to know what those keywords are, and why were they targeting them? Why did they think those are relevant to your business? Why is it important for your business to rank on those terms? And there's tons of research tools that we have out there that will give us all this information, and they should know why they were targeting those keywords. So ask them about those keywords, why they're there, and then look at the keywords. Are they moving up and down? Are there changes happening? If there are changes, ask the agency why those things happen. They should know. They should know if you got a bunch of links and all of a sudden you went up. They'll be able to call that out. So don't just look at their list of keywords and ranks and say, oh, they must be doing SEO. No, you need to engage with them and ask them what they're doing with those keywords, why those keywords are there, and how are they planning on moving those keywords up the search results page. So after that, generally you want to know about links. How many links have they built this past month? Where were they from? Why did they contact those people? Where do they link back? What you don't want to see is either no links being built consistently every month or links coming from just junk sites, unrelated sites, because there's tons of sites out there that just exist to make links for people, and they have no value whatsoever. Google doesn't even, they don't count them, and then sometimes they penalize you for having them. So you don't want to be linking to junk sites just to say you have 100 links. You want to be linking to good sites. And on the local side, that means you want to be linking to local sites within your area. And so like news sites, newspapers, local, bloggers, that type of thing. You want to be linking to people who are going to increase that kind of local relevance for you. So look at those link reports, see what they built for you that month. See who they're planning on reaching out to in the future, because they should have a plan, an ongoing plan of how they're going to be bringing in these links to your site and kind of increasing your value. Ask them about content. What sort of content are you putting on our page? What are you using that content for? What are the links that you're trying to gain from that content? Basically, you don't want to just have your website sitting there stagnant if you're paying for SEO, because SEO agencies should be always generating content. And then finally, search directories. If they're doing like a monthly search directory, it's like a subscription thing, they should be able to tell you which search directories are being added, which ones are being cleaned up, and that means like changing so your name, address, phone number are exactly the same, although the impact of that is becoming minimal. Google is smart enough to know that if one address is the same, but one says Suite 1 and one says STE1, those are the same thing. In the past, search directory companies would say, oh, those are two completely different things, and you won't get any value unless they're both exactly the same. That's not the case anymore. Google's very, very, very smart, and they can tell that synonyms in your address. And so if they're talking about the search directories they built or they fixed, definitely ask them about all that and make sure there's some value happening there. Make sure those search directories are relevant, because as I said at the top of this, there's thousands of search directories out there, and a bunch of them are completely irrelevant. You don't want to rank for like on a plumber's search directory if you're selling clothes. That has no value and no relevance. And so don't just build those search directories to have the number. Again, build relevant search directories. In fact, and if you're looking at search directories for yourself, I found a list of the top 100 business search directories for you guys. If you go to bit.ly/JMM directories, that will give you that list, and that's how you can tell like the top business listings are on there. They'll even have the niches there, so if you're looking for a specific niche to get into, you want to build those links in those niches. You don't want to just build all of them again. So relevancy, local relevancy, all that stuff. And I think that should give you guys enough ammo to take over SEO yourself. I know I'm crazy here, giving away all our agency secrets. I guess we'll never sell SEO here at J Miller again, because I've just taught you guys how to do our job. So, no skin off my back. I prefer to stick to all of the paid search and the display and the Facebook and the social, all that good stuff, and let you guys do the SEO yourself, because you're there. You're in the local market. You're able to generate that local content a lot better than an agency can anyway. So If you have any questions, if you want more tips or resources, please comment below. I am full of all this information, and I'm just always happy to share it. So thanks for watching. Consider that Wookie dropped.